on the next class?
I'm open tomorrow 10 to 12. My mother-in-law said that she'd be able to come and help my wife watch the kids.
Yeah.
I have to confirm that though, so that could change. I'll check my parents. So, I mean, they watch them today for me, so, but I mean, they don't mind usually once they're available.
Yeah.
Alright. I forget what I was going to do. Oh, this, right. I'll go here, do this. Alright, folks, we're going to start momentarily. When we start, we're just kind of going through. Alright, I mean, we'll talk through it. I'll try and remember to give you guys some time to do the working or give me some inputs. Cool. This one. Right. There we go. Here we go. Right now. Oh, sorry. Been slow today, boy. Wow. Okay. Small time. Sometimes it'll slow down before you go fast. What are we gonna do? Alright. And Marcus is here. Alright, cool. So with that, I think we could start. Now let's give all these. Alright. Oh, hey Renee, how you doing? Yeah, sorry, things ran a little later than expected. So we're gonna have to move a little more quickly than usual. And if your parents, you might hold on for like 5 minutes when they come at 2 o'clock. Hey Amisha, good afternoon, how you doing? Okay. There you go. Let me just do a free stuff in the printer. Okay, folks, afternoon. Sorry again to be so late. And on top of that, technical difficulties too. Anyhow, yeah. Waiting for me to start. Alright, cool. Well, let's wait no longer. Right, so we've done the 2021 and 2022 papers. And we could probably recognize that first question. So we're not going to spend too much time on it, right? So when you square something, what are you actually doing? Multiplying it by itself. And when you multiply a negative number by a negative number, we get positive. So minus 3 squared is 9. 2 squared, minus 2 squared is 4. And 9 and 4 will give us 13. So yeah, anybody who said C, that's correct. Hold on, this one. Did I select the correct thing here? I did? Okay. So, yeah. Okay. What percentage of 40 is 8? Well, we did that one either yesterday or the day before. So you put 8 over 40 and you then multiply by 100 over 1. 8 goes into 8 one time, 8 goes into 40 5 times, and then 5 goes into 100 20 times. So the answer here is 20%. Alright, cool. Going down. Peter Baruch, what's going on YouTube there? We saw number 4 yesterday too, but we'll get to that after we do number 3. Alright, so what does number 3 tell us? It says when 0.45 is written as a common fraction in the simplest form to resolve. Okay, so the trick here is you're going to put your 0.45 and you put the line, the solace. Right, you put a 1 under the decimal point and you put zeros for every other digit. Alright? Okay, and then you can just sort of rewrite it as 45 over 100. Whoa, what's going on here? Just now. Okay, if I'm going to keep doing that, I'm just going to hardwire the thing. Alright, we'll give it one more chance. It's going to come back up on the screen now. There you go. Okay. If it does it again, I'll just switch where our plug is connected. Right. So 45. Oh, it did it again. Right. So yeah, we are wasting time trying to be nice with that. Yeah, screen blank. Sorry about that, Michelle. Noah. Very interesting name. Yeah. Okay, I think we're back up. Watching from Kenya. Oh, that's pretty cool. What time is it there? It must be several hours ahead. Like 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. or something. Right, so 45 over 100. Now 5 could go into each of these numbers, right? 5 goes into 45 how many times? 9 times, and 5 into 100 goes 20 times. Alright? So 9 over 20. Okay, let's go down a little bit again. Check number 4. So we saw this one yesterday. This one has to do some shifting of some decimal points. So 235 by 48.7 is equal to 11,444.5. Then 2.35 by 4.87, right? So the 2.35 is if you took the decimal point in 235 and shifted it back 2 spaces to the left. And 4.87 would result if you took the decimal point in 48.7 and shifted it 1 space to the left. That's a total of 3 shifts to the left. So if you go in the answer 1, 2, 3 and shift it 3 spaces, you get 11.4445. Alright. I think we saw number 5 yesterday as well. A test was marked out of 80. A boy scored 60% of the marks on the test. How many marks did he score? Well, Peter is 8. Okay, well, I kind of guess right. Right, so you're going to take 60 out of 100 and multiply by everything I did?
Yeah,
oh.
Just go over.
Oh, it is? Okay. Okay, done 22. Alright. Right, so again, you could knock off a couple of zeros there, knock off some more zeros, and 6 by 8 is simply going to be 48. Okay, alright. So, Jaden and Khalifa, we okay with the first 5 questions there, sorry? Okay. Any issues, questions from? Alright. Liam and Marcus, just give me a quick G in the chat if you're good with those first 5 questions. If you need me to re-explain them, let me know. Alright, Amisha, didn't get number 4. Alright, so check it. So Amisha, sorry, let me just shift back to my regular size, right? So we started off with 235 by 48.7, but then we shifted to 2.35 by 4.87. Now, to get to 2.35, right, we had to divide by 100. And that would cause the decimal point in 235 to shift back 2 spaces to the left, right? And then we had 48.7. And then from that we had 4.87. And to do that, we had to divide by 10. And that would cause the decimal point to shift 1 space to the left. So in all, we shifted the decimal point 3 spaces. So in the answer here, the original answer, we would shift the decimal point from here 3 spaces back. But that's why it's 11.4445. Alright, Amisha, hope that helps. Okay, alright. Alright, okay, we saw number 6, I think it was Thursday. Dan, or was it yesterday?
Yesterday.
It was yesterday.
No.
I think it was yesterday, it was Thursday, yeah. Dan sold 40 concert tickets in 5 days. Each day he sold 3 tickets more than the previous day. Alright, hey Peter, good afternoon, how you doing? Right. What is the ratio? Now look at what they're asking. So this is not what they asked in the previous iteration question. What is the ratio of the number of tickets sold on day 3 to the number of tickets sold on day 5. Okay, I don't think there should be a multiple choice question because of the amount of work involved. If of course anybody knows a trick behind it, please let me know, I'd be most interested. Alright, so let's say on day 1, right? So day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the number of tickets sold, right? Number of tickets. So on the first day, let's just call it X, right? Now we sold 3 tickets more than the previous day. So on day 2, he sold X plus 3. On day 3, he sold 3 more than day 2, right? Which would be X plus 6. On day 4, he sold X plus 9. And on day 5, he sold X plus 12. So in all, sorry, nobody gave me an arrow. Right, so in all, if you add up the X's, you have 5 X's. 3 and 6 is 9, 9 and 9 is 18, 18 and 12 is 30. So we have 5x plus 30. Now that is equal to 40 because he sold 40 tickets in all. Alright? So if 5x plus 30 is equal to 40, if we subtract 30 from both sides of the equation, right, we're going to get 10. And if 5x is equal to 10, x has to be equal to 2. Right? Now we're not done because what is the ratio of the tickets on day 3 to day 5. So that's 2 plus 6, which is 8, and then 2 plus 12, which is 14, right? So it's an 8 to 14 ratio, and if you divide by 2 on both sides, you get a 4 to 7 ratio. Alright, so yeah, they at least changed up what they asked for. But again, I feel like this is a lot of work to do for a multiple choice question. and it kind of slows down. Huh? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me too. That's all about 47.
Say, you do this one more time, please.
Alright. So, hold on. Right. So Dan sold 40 tickets in 5 days, right? Each day he sold 3 tickets more than the previous day. What they want is the ratio of the number of tickets sold on day 3 to the number of tickets sold on day 5, right? So we have to find the number of tickets sold each day. So I just study number of tickets sold on day 1 be equal to x, right? Usual algebraic thing, right? Hold on, that's not right. The x. So that's day 1. Now on day 2 he sold 3 more, which is just x plus 3.
Okay.
On day 3 he sold 3 more than day 2, x plus 6. And so I went down all the rest of the 5 days. So when I added going down now, right, I have 5 x's, and then 3 plus 6 is 9, 9 and 9 is 18, 18 and 12 is 30. So 5x plus 30 is equal to 40, because they told us that he sold 40 in total, right?
Okay.
So if 5x plus 30 is 40, 5x is 10, because 10 plus 30 is 40, and if 5x is 10x is 2. So then, what they want is the ratio of the tickets sold on day 3. So day 3 was x plus 6. So that's 2 plus 6, which is 8, and then on day 5 is x plus 12, and 2 plus 12 is 14. So we put 8 to 14 ratio, and then it's simplified. You divide by 2 on both sides. 8 divided by 2 is 4, 14 divided by 2 is 7. Alright, we okay with that one now?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Alright, number 7. Which of the following sets is defined by, okay, so we saw this one yesterday. I remember this one from yesterday. Right, so we have x is an element of the set of integers. So integers refers to whole numbers, positive, negative, and 0. So we have minus 2 less than or equal to x, which itself is less than or equal to 4. So because we have the less than or equal to, we can take the value, the number value on the other side, right? And we go minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and all the way up to 4, and including 4. Right? So x lies between minus 2 and 4, and also could be minus 2 and 4. So D is the answer there. Le bien heureux, how you doing? Ça va? Alright. The set of positive integers that is divisible by 6 is an example of, well, that's an infinite set. Alright. Alright.
So why is that?
Right, so numbers that are divisible by 6 are 6, 12, 18, etc. You could continue adding 6 infinitely. So you can't really stop. I mean, you could stop, but I mean, the number sequence will just continue.
So what they said, all the integers were divisible by 2.
Yeah. Alright, oh, but we have another little set theory question here. So the number of elements in U is 25. We saw this one yesterday, or one like it? Or was it Thursday? One of them. Right. So the number of elements in the universal set is 25. Number of elements in A is 14, number in B is 15. Now 14 plus 15 is already 29. So how you can have 29 elements if you only have 25? Sorry, give it a sec. Right. So I'll do a Venn diagram to help illustrate. Okay, so this is the universal set. That's set A. That's set B. So set A. Right. So the number of elements in A union B is 23. Now A union B is when you put all the elements in A together with all the elements in B. Now check this, right? If I took 14 and I added 15, I will get what? 29, right? Well, how can I do that and get 23? What has to happen to 29 to get to 23? After minus 6. So what that means is that the number of elements in the, and that's what they're asking for, the number of elements in A intersect B is that, right? Well, there is a formula, right? The formula is usually given that the number of elements in A union B is equal to the number of elements in A plus the number of elements in B minus the number of elements in the intersection. And the interesting part is we could actually swap out this and this. So you could start off with number of elements in A intersect B, and all that would change in the subsequent statement is that you'd subtract the number of elements in A union B. Alright? Thank you, boss lady. Right. Okay. Alright. So, Jaden and Khalifa, are we okay with 6, 7, 8, and 9?
Yeah.
Anything you want to re-explain? No? Alright, Liam and Marcus, just give me a quick Genie chat if you guys good with this. Virgo, Capricorn, 2023 May. Alright. Thank you very much. Okay. Alright. So the second page is a little fuzzy. It says items 10 and 11 refer to the following Venn diagram, which shows the universal set and the sets T and C that represent the students in the class with tennis and chess. Now, what do we notice about set C? Set C is this set here. Alright, it's perfectly inside, actually, hold on. Yeah. Yeah, it's perfectly inside set T, which means it's a subset of set T, which means every element in C exists in T. So what that means is Paul and Rima, if that's her name, Paul and Rima play chess and play tennis, right? Because they are inside set T, which is the set of tennis, right? And then on the outside, between C and T, you see Ali, Alex, Tom, and Kayla. So they play tennis only, but not chess. And on the outside of both sets, you see Dora, Charles, and Doug, right? And those are people who play neither chess nor tennis. Chess nor tennis. Tennis nor tennis. Tennis and chess. Okay, cool, right. I guess stick there for a second. Like, what's going on? I was like, you'll ever saw that on like either Instagram or TikTok. The girl trying to say once upon a time, and she keeps saying once upon a time, once upon a time, once upon a time. I guess stick. So the number of people who play both games is simply 2. How many students play exactly one game? Right, so that's Ali, Alex, Kayla, and Tom, because they play tennis only, so that's 4. Wait, what did I do? Did I not put this in? Alright. Alright. Yeah, wicked gal, Chrissy, and shy pretty. Very good. Right, cool. Liam and Marcus, just give me a quick G if you'll go with 10 and 11, please, and thanks. Alright, cool, lovely. Alright, 12 to 16 now. The students in teacher May's class have either a dog or a cat or none of the two. Either a dog or a cat or none of the two. For number 12. 16 students have a dog, 12 students have a cat, and the remainder have neither a dog nor a cat. So 16 have a dog, none have a cat. Okay. Which of the following Venn diagrams correctly represent? Okay, so they told us dogs, cats. They didn't say anybody has both, right? So if you take 16 and you add 12, you get 28. And if it's 30 people in total, it means you have 2 left, 2 have neither. So that's option D. Option D is the only diagram that doesn't have an intersection or some kind of subset thing going on there.
Should I take it as well?
Yeah, no problem. Right. Hey, Renee. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they say either a dog or a cat or none of the two. Right? That's in that top sentence there. So in that case, I couldn't go with B. Alright? Okay. Okay, so I guess we finished with the steps and we're back to some consumer arithmetic. So at a bank, EC 260 is equivalent to $1 US. For every US dollar exchanged, EC 10 cents is deducted as an exchange fee. How much EC dollars will Leon receive if he exchanges 1,000 US? So for every 1 US, he gets 260 EC minus 10 cents. Right. What's that? Correct. So for every 1 US, he actually effectively gets $2.50 EC, right? Now if he has 1,000 US dollars, that's 1,000 times each side. So 1,000 times each side will shift the decimal point 3 spaces. So you have 2,500. very good. Okay, cool. A dress which costs $1,800 is being sold at a discount of 10%. The amount of the discount is right. So that's just 10% of the 1,800. Right, so that's just 1/10 of it, which is 180, yes? Alright, cool. One second, I'm gonna put on my spectacles. Oh, crap. Sorry. Alright, 50 now. If 7,000 is borrowed at a rate of 5% per annum for 3 years, simple interest. Okay, so we know simple interest is principal by the rate over 100 by time. So the zeros will cancel here. So 70 by 5 is 350, and then 350 by 3, so that's 900 plus 150, which is 1050. That's the interest, simple interest, right? An article bought for 125 was sold for 100. The loss as a percentage of the cost price was. Okay, so profit or loss is equal to selling price minus cost price, yeah? It was sold for 100, but it was bought for 125, which means you have a loss of how much? $25. And you want to express that loss as a percentage of the cost price. Alright? Right, so in case you don't know, well, 5 into 25 5 times, and 5 into 125 was 25 times. Right, which will then cancel down to 1/5. 5 into 100 was 20 times. It's a 20% loss. Okay. Oh, I didn't bring. Alright, come on. Alright, Khalif, Jaden and Khalifa, are you okay with this page?
Yes.
Anything you want to go over? Or re-explain? Alright. Alright, Liam and Marcus, just gonna ask you if you guys are good with that. Alright, thank you. Yeah, no worries. I have alphabetical order in class. I have J for Jaden, K for Khalifa, L for Liam, and M for Marcus. Yeah.
So, where you get your 150 to add in number 50?
Right. So, I did 300. So, okay. So 350 is equal to 300 plus 50. Agreed?
Right.
And if you multiply each of them by 3, so 3 by 300 is 900. 50 by 30 is 150. Right, so I just used the Shabbat law.
Oh, okay.
Alright, I'll go on to the next page. Just give me a quick second to respond to my wife's message here. I'll leave these 4 questions up so we can maybe correct those 4 if anything. Okay. Alright, cool. Sorry. Yeah, it's working on some logistics. The granny turned 93 on Monday. And my mom had after 95 yesterday. Alright, so okay, so the cash price of a television set is $350. When bought on hire purchase, a deposit of $35 is required, followed by 12 monthly payments of $30 each. How much is saved? Right, if paying cash. Alright, so we have to compare the cash price of $350 to the hire purchase price, right? So the hire purchase price means you have a down payment. Whoa, what went on there? Okay, a down payment of $35. Okay, and you're going to have to. What is going on with this thing? Okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Right, plus 12 monthly payments of 30 each. Okay, so that's 35 plus 360, which is 395, right? And if you're comparing 395 to 350, that's a savings of $45, yeah? Okay, next, let's zoom in back in a little bit. Okay, I think we savings is good. If the simple interest on $900 at 4% per annum for T years is 108, what is the value of T? Okay, so first things first, if you just find 900 sorry, 4% of 900, we'll get $36, right? And then that's per year. To find out how many years, what we'll do is you'll take 108 and divide by 36. Sorry, what? My battery is running low. Anybody else seeing this thing plugged in besides me? Is it just me? What's going on? Okay. You're charging now? What kind of thing with you today, yes, pressure? Hold on. So that charging, okay, cool. Not showing, okay. Right, so we could, if you could do different, you could do 9, you could do 12, you could do 36, right? You could do 3 if you're not sure where to start. You could do 2. Let's do 3. Instead of this 12, and that's 36, and then 12 into 36 goes 3 times, so you have 3 years. Okay, cool, right. I'm going to charge in this pressure, he does. Right, who is that? Renee, very good, Renee. Alright. Seeing as 21 and 22 are visible, you all just going to do those one time? Or you all went in order?
Sure.
Go ahead? Alright. So 7 times the product of 2 numbers, A and B. So, okay, hold on. Guess now. Right. So 7 times the product of A and B. Product implies what operation? Multiplication. So 7 times A times B is simply 7AB. Right. 1 over 2x plus 1 over 3x is equal to, right, so you can do this a couple different ways, right? So again, you can just do cross multiplication. So 1 by 3x is 3x, 1 by 2x is 2x, and you're multiplying these two together, which will give you 6x squared. 3x plus 2x is simply 5x, and you have over 6x squared. And the x and x squared cancel, leaving us with 5 over 6x, which is option B. Okay, cool. Alright, lovely. Look number 19 again. The car was worth this much, how much was in January? So I think we know what oh no, they change the figures. At the end of any year, a car is worth 5% less than it was worth, than what it was worth, sorry, at the beginning of the year. That's depreciation. If a car is worth 19,000 in December 2021, then its value in Jan 2020, when it started that same year, is... Okay, cool. So, basically what's happening is you're losing 5% of the value, right? If you lose 5% of a value, right, what percentage represents a whole? 100%. So, if you took 100% and you subtracted 5%, you will get 95%, right? So what we're saying here is that 95% of the value at start is equal to the value at end, which as we know here is 19,000, right? So to find the value at start, you would divide by 95% on both sides. So you'd have 19,000 divided by 95 over 100, what? Okay, right, so we have 19,000 over 1 by 100 over 95. Now 19 goes into 19,000 1,000 times, and 19 goes into 95 5 times. 5 then goes into 120 times, and 20 by 1,000 is 20,000.
Wow.
Right? Now, we have a couple other ways that we're going to shortcut this particular, right? Now, one way, sorry, maybe not shortcut, right? One way you could have done is, okay, let me find 5% of each of these and subtract. And you can start with the easiest figure, 20,000, right? 5% of 20,000 is 1,000, and 19 minus 1 is, sorry, 20 minus 1 is 19, right? Apart from that, you have a couple other ways of it. Let me see, hold on. Okay, cool. Right, a man's regular pay is $8 per hour up to 40 hours. Overtime is twice the payment for regular time. So twice the payment is $16, right? Okay. If he was paid $4.80 for how many hours? How many hours of overtime? Okay, cool. So check this. If it took you $8 per hour and multiplied by 40 hours, your regular thing, you'll have a total of how much? 320. But he worked and earned $4.80. So if you take 480 now and you minus 320, you're going to get 160. Now, like we said, overtime, Right, the overtime rate was 2 times the regular rate, which is $16, right, per hour. So if he earns a total of 160 overtime, and the overtime rate is $16 per hour, all we have to do is divide, and 160 divided by 16 will give us 10. Sorry, one sec. Right. 23 now. Okay. What is the value of x squared plus 3y all over x by y if x is 4 and y is 2? So x squared, so we have 4 squared plus 3 then by 2 all over 4 by 2. So 4 squared is 16, 3 by 2 is 6, 4 by 2 is 8. 16 plus 6 is 22. If we divide by 2, we get 11 over 4. And that will give us 2 and 3 quarters. This is option B. Oh, ACP, how are you doing? Good afternoon. Right, lovely. Alright, I see you in China and little B and alright, lovely. Looking good. Alright, and we've seen number 24 a few times. Like this question too bad, boy. If 5 by 2x minus 1 is 35, then x is equal to... Alright, so check this, right? So 5 multiplied by 2x minus 1 is equal to 35, yeah? So the first thing to do is divide by 5 on both sides of the equation, and we'll have 2x minus 1 is equal to 7. Now we'll add 1 to both sides of the equation, and then lastly we'll divide by 2. X is 4. Alright, okay, cool. Alright, okay. So that was 8 questions. Alright, okay, so we more than 1/3 into the paper. Alright, lovely. Alright, okay, how are you feeling with that stuff so far? Yeah? Alright, cool. Liam and Marcus, just give me a quick G if you're good with the questions on this page, please, thanks. Alright, if you need me to go over anything, let me know, give me a G and put the number of the question on the go over, right? Alright, cool. Alright. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit. John has X marbles and Max has twice as many marbles as John. Max gives John 5 of his marbles. How many marbles does John now have? Okay, well that's X plus 5. Right, John and Max, right? John has X marbles, Max has twice as many marbles as John. Max gives John 5 of his marbles. So 5 go into Max, to John. Max gives John, right? And he has 5 left, so X plus 5. Alright, 26. Oh, we saw this one yesterday too. So 3 star 6 is 12, and then 2 star 5 is 9, then A star B will be, so it's a binary operation. They want to know what's the formula basically. Right? So the 3 is the A, and the 6 is the B, and the same for the 2 and the 5, right? Right, so check this. So we said, okay, look, it can't be add 3 plus 6 is 9, it can't be multiplied, 3 by 6 is 18. So we had to ask some kind of, what about, well, hold on, if we added the 6 and the 3, right, what did we get? 9. How much more we have to make plus? 3. So technically speaking, we could do A plus B and then add A again, right? Now, if you shift around some stuff, A plus A will give us what? A plus A is 2, right? Now, does that happen over the next one? If we add 2 and 5, how much we get? 7. And if we add A again, 7 and 2 is 9. So it works. Alright? Yeah. Now, again, yeah, China, good job. Yeah. So, some of the questions are a little, like I was saying yesterday, some of them I could explain, others, like, for example, this one, I've done so many of them, it's like, I kind of seen the pattern already, so I thought I kind of slow down to be able to explain it. Alright. We saw this one yesterday too, and the day before. P minus Q. So P is 3, 7, and you're minusing Q, which is minus 2, 5, right? So you have 3, 7, and you're subtracting minus 2, 5. And when you're subtracting vectors, you subtract the corresponding aspects, right? So the horizontal minus the horizontal, and then the vertical minus So 3 minus minus 2 becomes 3 plus 2, right? And 3 plus 2 is 5. 7 minus 5 is just 2. So we have 5, 2, which is option C. I didn't see it, you know. I didn't see it. Right. Okay. Alright, 27, 29. Okay, so on 27 now, the order of the matrix. So the order of a matrix is a way of describing a matrix by citing the number of rows and columns. The rows are the lines going across. How many we have there? 3. The columns are the lines going down. How many we have there? 4. And you always state row by column, horizontal by vertical. So that's option C. Right? Item 28 refers to the following matrix P, and they want the determinant of the case. So to find the determinant, they take the product of 8 by 5. So the product of the elements on the lead diagonal, minus the product of the elements on the other diagonal. 8 by 5 is 40, 6 by 7 is 42, 40 minus 42 is minus 2. Oh, okay, cool. Right. Item 30 refers to the following diagram of triangle OLM, in which R is the midpoint of OL. Hold on, just now. R is the midpoint of OL, and T is the midpoint of OM. Right? So a midpoint cuts a line segment in half. So what that means is that OR and RL are 2 equal halves of the larger line OL. And OT and TM are actually equal halves of the larger line OM. Right. Now OR, the vector OR is given as A. So this little A here is the directions as to how to get from O to R. So we're traveling upwards along that line. Alright? And then OT, the vector OT is small b. So that's how we get from O to T, by using the vector b. So even though it's a single letter, there are directions in that. So it's like the small a is a summary of the vector. Right? It's like a label for it or a name for it, and then you have to kind of dig in to define what was the horizontal, what was the vertical. Right? But we don't need to do that particular piece. What we want is RM. How do we get RM in terms of A and B? To go from R to M, we could go from R to L and then L to M. Now RL, because R is the midpoint of OL, we just said that OR and RL would be equal to each other. So the vector along RL would actually be A as well. But the thing is, on LM, we have no vector. So we have no directions to travel along that vector. So we can't use it. So what we therefore have to do is we have to go from R to O, and you can say O to T, and then T to M. Alright, so right now, so we have to go from, so RM is equal, you gotta go from R to O first. And you gotta go from O to T next, and then from T to M. Alright. Now we also said that T is the midpoint of OM. So it means that right? It means here that also OT and TM are equal. So the vector along TM is also going to be small b. So we have 2 of the vectors already, right? Now RO is going in this direction here. The vector along that line segment is going in the opposite direction. So if we want to travel in the opposite, hey Ambi, how you doing? Yes, it would be on YouTube, that's correct. Yeah, so since we want to go in the opposite direction of OR, we have to invert OR, which simply means putting a minus sign in front of it. Right? And into the vector, you'll simply get minus A. So RO is simply minus A. So B plus B will give us 2B, and then you simply subtract A from that. So the answer here is 2B minus A. Alright. You good? Yeah, glad to hear that, Ambi. Hope exams have been treating you well. Alright. Alright, so we're about halfway through the paper. Alright, I need to get some water. So I think we're making decent time. Alright, but before I run upstairs to get the water, are you all okay with this page? You all need to go over any of them And then these vectors will just have some people kind of scratching their heads on it. Are we okay?
Yes, sir.
Sure. Alright. Liam and Marcus, just give me a quick G in chat if you're good with that. If we need me to re-explain any of them, many of them, or all of them, give me a R and give me the numbers you want to re-explain, right? Okay. Alright, cool. Alright. So guys, I'll put up the next page. I'll put as many as you can see without it being too thing. I'm just gonna run for a bottle of water and come back, right? I shan't be long.
You know, sir, so. And then I joke with your party and
No, my part.
now, what I was saying, what you want to do from the last part, what I was saying about, what you want to do from
The light.
I swear,
From
everybody. I swear.
like people in Canada.
Yeah, yeah. No, mama. Read this.
I don't think I do.
Hold on. I don't know, sexy, man.
I don't want to go on the party.
With N12.
No, it's not. Nine.
You're lying. No
And
way.
nine, I
I
swear.
said you know that very soon. Careful your phone right there.
Shut up. What? I
Nah, I
started.
know that was a morning thing, that's weird.
No, not morning. It's like it's at 10 p.m. and ending.
That's true.
But he told he had said something about it that something that they needed to either like it had that kind of thing for the ending. That was still nothing.
Wait, who you doing? See,
I am
don't know.
good. What time is it next?
9 is good. 9 is good. I hear it's 12.
12. Let's see how.
Good for you. I know who you know.
You was just telling me to do it.
I just tell you to read sessions, is it?
Remember, I had it on last week.
Oh.
You see, it's not the last 2 papers.
Yeah.
Or you can let me.
Huh?
So, you can let me.
So you can finish it, bro.
And
No.
Yeah, seeing Ria and Boss Lady and Cyprity active in the chat that way. What is my Boss Lady saying? Okay. Alright. So we saw that's what 31, 32 and 33 already. We saw 35, we saw 30, and I'm pretty sure I saw 37 too. Yeah, this whole page repeats. Alright guys, let's jump back into it. 27. We're gonna see number 27. It's a 3x4 matrix. Okay, cool. Given that 1 millimeter is 1/1000th of a meter, so 2500 millimeters, right? To convert to meters, you'll divide by 1000. Which will cause the decimal point to shift 3 spaces back. So we're gonna have 2.5 there. The volume of a cube whose edge is 10 centimeters. So the volume of a cube is side cubed, or side by side by side. So that's 10 cubed is 10 by 10 by 10. So that's simply 1000 cubic centimeters. Very good, China. At a party, a number of guests will serve 15 liters of champagne. Each guest had 2 glasses of champagne. Each glass held 150 milliliters. Assuming no spillage, how many guests were at the party? Okay, hold on. So 15 liters of champagne was served in total. Now each guest had 2 glasses each glass had 150 milliliters, which means that each guest had 300 milliliters of champagne. And in total, 15 liters were served. So to convert to milliliters, you have to multiply by 1,000. So we in total served 15,000 milliliters to all the guests. And if each guest had 300, to find out how many guests, we simply divide. Knock off the zeros, and 3 into 15 was 5, so we have 50 guests. The perimeter of a square. Alright, cool. So as we know, a square is an equilateral, equiangular, quadrilateral. Right? So let's just call it S. S per side, right? So to find the perimeter, we add up all 4 sides, which is just 4S. And that's equal to 56. So to find the length of each side, we divide 56 by 4. So S is equal to 14. And the area is side by side or side squared. And 14 squared is simply 196. Sorry. The distance around the edge of a circular pond is 88 meters. The radius is... So the distance around the edge of a circular pond is the circumference. Circumference, as we know, is, you can either say 2 pi r or pi by diameter. But we'll use r because they're asking us for radius, right? 2 pi r. So we know this circumference is 88. 88 is equal to 2 pi r. And to solve for r, sorry, one sec. To solve for r, we simply have to remove the 2 pi. How do we do that? Well, how is it connected? By multiplication. How do we remove something connected by multiplication? We will divide. So we divide by 2 pi. Alright, try quickly that. That would have been the correct answer if you're looking for the diameter. Alright, but close. Alright. Let's go with number 34, bottom left hand side first. So we have a trapezium. They want, no, look at it. They give us a different take on it here. Normally we were asked to find the area of the trapezium. Here, they're saying that the trapezium has an area of 65 square centimeters. Look at that. Now they gave us what? They gave us the length of the 2 parallel sides, the 2 yellow sides, say 8 and 18. Right? Sorry, one second. Right, so the area of a trapezium is 1/2 of the sum. So let's call this side A and that side B. Is a half of the sum of the parallel sides multiplied by the perpendicular distance or height between them, which is the h for which we are looking, right? So we have 65 is equal to 1/2 by 8 plus 18, then by h. 8 plus 18 is 26. 1/2 of 26 is 13. So to solve for h, we have to do 65 divided by 13. And as luck would have it, that is simply equal to 5. So your answer here is 5 centimeters. Right. Item 37 refers to the following diagram, which shows a compound shape that consists of a triangle of height 4 centimeters resting on a square. If the area of the triangle is 14 centimeters, what is the area of the compound shape? Ooh, interesting. Right, so the area of a triangle, area is equal to base by height over 2. Now we have the height, so we know this is 14. And this is equal to base by 4 all over 2. Now 2 will cancel with 2 once and into 4 2 times. So we have that 14 is equal to 2b. So to solve for b, we'd simply divide by 2 on both sides of the equation and get 7. So it means that each edge of the square is 7 centimeters. Now they want the area of the compound shape, which is the area of the triangle plus the area of the square. Now we already have the area of the triangle. Area of the square is simply side by side, which is 49. And 14 plus 49 is 63. Alright. Okay, Jaden and Khalifa, are we okay with this page? Is there anything on this page we want to move or explain anything at all? Or we good? Good? Alright. Liam and Mark, let's just give them a quick G in the chart if you're good with that. Sorry, one sec. Something in my eye. Okay. Wow, okay. What is that? Not sure myself, no? What number are you looking for specifically? Oh, yeah, yeah. Alright. Oh, Ambi, thanks for sharing your life. Appreciate it. Alright, ready? Okay, so we'll go on to this page. On leaving Trinidad, the time on a pilot's watch was 2300 hours, so that's 11 p.m. When he arrived at his destination, the same time zone on the next day, his watch showed 0300 hours, that's 3 a.m. If the average speed of the aircraft on the entire journey was 625 kilometers per hour, then the distance covered by the aircraft was, okay, so 2300 hours is 11 p.m. That will then go to midnight, or as I say 12 a.m., then to 1 a.m., then to 2 a.m., and we arrive at 3 a.m., right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 hours in total of travel time. Okay, now speed is distance over time. So therefore, if you rearrange and you multiply by time on both sides of the equation, you get distance. So distance is equal to speed 625 by time. So 6 by 4 is 24, so that's 2400. 25 by 4 is 100, so 2400 plus 100, what? Is 2500, yeah. Okay, Mrs. Clark arranged 15 test scores of her students in order of size and selected the 8th score for reporting purposes. Which of the following statistical measures did Mrs. Clark obtain? That's median, right? Why? Because if you take the first 7, the 8, and then you take 9 to 15, right? You have 7 items here, 7 items here, and 1 in the middle. The median is the data point with the same number of data points before it and after it, so that's the median. Very good, Shepherd. Ooh, we have a graph. Items 40 and 41 refer to the following diagram, which shows the CF curve based on the number of the marks of 200 students who took a driving test. Okay, so starting at was that 10, that's 4, so 4. All right. What do they want? How many students scored at most 45 marks? Okay, so to find that out, we have to go to 45 on the x-axis, which is the marks axis. So 45 is probably this line here, half between 40 and 50, sorry. We're going to hit the curve there, and then we're going to read across. So it's actually between the horizontal there, and that's that. Now each of those vertical things is 1/6 of the 200 is 40, right? And you have 10 small blocks between there, so 40 divided by 10 is 4. So if you could see, it's actually between the first and second block, so it's like 1.5, which is 6. So 166 is, I believe, the answer. How many students scored at most? Right, see, 166. Right, what's 39? 39 was median. Right, 39 was median. Oh, hey Kyle, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. Alright. The median mark scored by the 200s. Okay, so the median mark is the mark scored by the person halfway in the distribution. So the halfway mark here would be, well, if it's 200 people, halfway in that is 100, right? So we go on this axis now. We then go halfway. Oh, I mean that's a slightly brighter line. Don't go back to the blue now. The blue is better, right? So if we read across to the curve, and then we read down. Right, so on this axis now, there is 30 to the 40 is 10, and you have 10 spaces. So this is, so that's 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. And then so 37.5 it look like, but they don't have that. So we go 37. Alright, okay, so we're about 2/3. What time this started? Right, so I was supposed to start, man, at 12. I started at like 12:40, 12:45. So yeah, I was pretty late. Sorry about that. Alright, okay. Liam and Khalifa, are we okay with the solution on this page? Yeah? Alright, Liam and Marcus, if you guys good with this page, give me a quick G in the chat. Alright, Manda, this is the third session. We did 2021 on Thursday, 2022 on Friday. 2021 on, what's the date? Wednesday? Today's Friday. We did 2021 on Wednesday, 2022 on Thursday, and today's 2023. Tomorrow, I'm hoping it's 2024. Right, and I'm hoping that will be 10 to 12 in the morning. May, June, yeah, that's correct, May, June. Next week we jump in the January papers. Right, so we're going to have one session per day next week from 6:30 to 8:30. Right, because yeah, I can't cancel my phone calls anymore. Right, so yeah, so my phone calls, yeah, I have phone call every day 4 to 6, basically. Right, so unless you wanted to also come like a 1 to 3 and then take a long break, or put you in the next room, look at your next paper. Nishna might be here, so we could do that too, right? Yeah.
So when they tell you something?
Well, Monday to Thursday. Half 6 to half 8 is definitely what's going to happen. I can't do a 4 to 6, but like I said, if you want to come from earlier, you don't ever know first of all. So I can organize, right? If not, then I'll be here from like half 3 anyway. So if you want to come like to the 4 o'clock class, I'm like going in and the paper or something. Alright, let's go. In a box, there are 8 red, 7 blue, and 6 green marbles. Okay? One marble is picked up randomly. What is the probability? It's neither blue nor green. So if it's neither blue nor green, the only color it could be is red. And there are 8 red marbles out of a total of 8 plus 7 plus 6. 8 plus 7 is 15, 15 and 6 is 21. So 8 out of 21 is the answer here. Alright, so that's 42. Renee, yes, that's Renee, that's correct. Alright, item 43 shows the following pie chart, which shows the popular games played by 720 students. How many students played cricket? Oh, we saw this one, I think it was Wednesday, right? With the percentage. Right, so this angle here is what? 90. So you have 90 degrees there, 36 there. This is 30% of the whole thing, right? So if we find, what's the total number of degrees in a circle? 360. Okay. So if we find 30% of 360, we'll get 108 degrees, right? So this angle here is 108 degrees. So now, to find the remainder, what will we do? We'd have to add up all the angles we have and then subtract from 360, right? So let's do that. So we have the 90 here and the 36 as well, right? 90 and 36 is 126, 126 and 108 is 126 and 8 is 134, so 234. And then we'll take the 360 degrees and minus the 234 and get 126, which is actually sum of the other two. That's interesting. How that makes sense? Oh no, it's those two. Oh, okay, so the other distance. Okay, so 126. So 126 over 360 multiplied by 720. Alright, check it, right? 126, 120 is exactly 1/3 of 360, right? So 126 would be a little more. And 1/3 of 720 is, now the other way to do it is again, knock off the 0 here and here. 36 into 72 goes 2 times. And now you have 126 multiplied by 2. So that's 200, 40, and 12. As in 100 by 2, 20 by 2, and 6 by 2. And that's a total of 252. I agree. For multiple choice, you know? Yeah, like if they had asked for like either, like if they had given you 108 degrees and still asked you for how many certificates, I'll be okay with that, right? Yeah, 30%, that's fine, you know? Or the number of degrees in the sector for cricket. That's cool, I could agree with that, right? But the number of layers here, and then we were saying yesterday, wasn't it yesterday when Craig was here, she was saying the invigilator told her day before, put your work in on the multiple choice, and that's where the examiners look for it. They're like, so I'll come up on the Cook. And Cook was like, no, CX uses machines to correct multiple choice, nobody sees the work in. So it was like, oh, hey T, how you doing? Evening, afternoon. Evening. I watched him kill Thomas too. Oh, sorry. Good? Alright. Item 44 refers to the following two-way table, which shows the ways in which 200 students in a group are transported to school on a particular day. So you have male going across, right? And they either take a bus, take a taxi, or walk. You have females going across, and of course when you add going down, 108 and 92 is 1 minute. That'll work? That'll work. Alright, cool. Sorry, why are you so low? Oh, okay. That's fine, right. Yeah, so you can read it going across, or you can read going down. So the total for bus is 74, total for taxi is 66, total for walking is 60, and when you add going across, you get 200, right? So that's what they mean by a two-way table. You can read it horizontally or vertically. Alright, okay, a student is picked from at random from the group. What is the probability that the student is a male who traveled to school by taxi on that day? Right, so the wording here, let me see. A student is picked at random from the group. Okay, so from the group of 200. Okay. What is the probability he is male who traveled to school by taxi? So that's this, right? So when you put 50 over 200 and then cancel down, you're going to get a quarter.
What? I put over 66.
Right, so you see, it's a new wording because in Wednesday's paper we put over 108 because it said if a boy was selected at random, so it means just a boy, right? So it wouldn't be out of the whole 200. But here, it said a student is picked at random from the group, so the group is the 200 people. So that's the denominator. Who's that? Did you hear blaming Jiren? CPU, what type of pencil to use for shading? Well, they say the 2B. They say 2B? Yeah? I guess. 2B? Oh, not 2B. That is the pencil. What's it? HB? I don't know what was in here, no? Like this 1B, 2B, HB. I know. A man said his pen. Were you seeing 3B on the paper? Well, look at that. Well, here, we'll take that 2B and our 1B and like just shade both of them.
Well, 2HB.
I don't know. Just shade it. I don't think there's a problem. Nah, it's not a problem. Alright. Hey, Sandra, how you doing? Thank you for liking. Take a permanent marker, VC. Only on real jokes. The point where allergic to that? Right, the point where a linear function crosses the vertical axis is called the y-intercept. Right, the last two papers are the horizontal axis. Alright. Take a paintbrush and Sherwin-Williams paint. Or just carry a spray can, a spray paint can. Right, or a stamp. Alright, the equation of a line that crosses the vertical axis at the point 0, 5 and is a gradient of 4. Right, so we know that the gradient intercept form of the equation of a line is y equal to mx plus c. M is the gradient, which is 4, and the y-intercept is the point on the y-axis through which the line passes. And at every point on the y-axis, x is equal to 0, which means that this point here is the y-intercept. So we just have 4x plus 5, y equal to 4x plus 5, which is option C. Alright. Alright, Jaden and Cliff, are we okay with this page? Alright, Liam and Marcus, just give me a quick G in the chat if you're good with that. Please answer. Carry an air compressor and give yeah, just bust holes in the paper. But please don't take that seriously, eh? There's somebody gonna say, well, Chris from adapts it and bust holes in the paper. That way. Well, I'll give you a story yesterday of the man who unhacked the SAT. You weren't there for that? He had a fella, and what he did is he took a pencil and he put a very tiny dot in every letter on the answer page. Yeah. And what the machine would do, it marked only the correct answers. So what happened was, it just picked up all the correct answers, so he got a perfect score. Yeah. So what they had to do was rejig the machine to also check for multiple answers. If you have multiple answers, you get instantly wrong. You know? Alright, so we are 3/4 of the way through the paper. There are 14 more questions to go in about 60 minutes. There we go. Which of the following are linear as A? Alright? C and D are not linear, they are curves. And that perfectly vertical line, right? So there's a test called the vertical line test. Right? The vertical line test, if you draw a line and it touches the item only one point, then the item is a function. Right? If it touches more than one point, it's not a function. This one, a vertical line would pass through the entire range, so it's not a function. 48. The equation of the axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry is the line that cuts the function into two pieces. And that is simply equal to x equal to, or whatever the value is here, x equal to 2. Sometimes I guess a little. 25 is the Alright. Okay, 49 now. Right, a line L is perpendicular to that line. What is the gradient? Okay, so we know that there's a relationship between perpendicular lines' gradients. If we took their gradients and multiplied them together, we will get -1. So let's say we had one of the gradients and we were looking for the other one. We will divide, not so? We will divide -1 by the gradient we have. Now this here is in the form y equal to m by x plus c, where m is the gradient. So we have the gradient of one line. We want to find the gradient of the mutually perpendicular line. So we'll take -1 and divide by 3/7. And what's the protocol for when you divide by functions? You change divide to multiply and you invert the divisor. And when you multiply in fractions, you multiply numerators together, right? And then denominators together. So -1 by 7 is -7, 1 by 3 is 3. So we have -7 over 3. 50. Oh, we've seen 50 before. If g of x is 7x minus 3, all divided by 5, then g of -6. Okay, cool. So we want g of -6. So we're simply going to sub -6 into the function. 7 minus 6 is -42. -42 minus 43 is -45. And -45 divided by 5 is -9. Alright, so we have 10 more to go. What do I have in? Hey, I will only step in this one, boy. So hold on. Let's check any heat. Yeah, this one. There we have something wrong. Unfortunately. 51 refers to the following arrow diagram which shows a function f. The answer 50 is B. 7 minus 42 minus 45 minus 9. Check it again. Oh, you mean A. Alright, sorry. Yeah, and for 51, right, so which of the following equations best describe the function? So to go from 2 to 5, and then 5 to 8, 8 to 11, you had to add 3. So x plus 3 is equal to y.
50.
8. This one was 8.
7 by minus 6 is minus 42. Minus 42 minus 3 is minus 45. And minus 45 divided by minus 9 also. You wonder, you're like, shock, I understand. The model pretty whole time. Alright. You okay now? Alright. Hey Daryl, how you doing afternoon? Right. Huh? Oh, yeah, 51 is, yeah, that's B. Y equal to x plus 3. Right, the range of f of x to x cubed, right? So, when you're cubing something, you're multiplying 3 instances of it together, right? So, when you're cubing minus 2, so minus, sorry, 1 second. I'll try the medium point for this one, right? So minus 2 cubed was equal to minus 2 by minus 2 by minus 2. Now minus by minus is a plus, so that's positive 4. But then we multiply by negative 2. And a positive by a negative will give us back a negative, right? Now minus 1 cubed, again, you're going to have 3 negative terms they multiply. And no matter how many 1s they multiply, it will give back a 1. Right? 0 to any power is just 0. 1 to any power is just 1. And 2 cubed is, well, 3 instances of 2 being multiplied together, which is just 2. So that's D, yeah? 52 is D. Very good reading. Alright. Yeah, should I put you, they catch you? Put it on the square. Alright, yeah, but don't worry, that's the paper fault, not yours. Alright. Hey Savannah, thanks for checking out. Item 53 refers to the following diagram of a transformation. What transformation maps? We'll check it, right? So, this looks like a reflection. To test if that's true, the letters have to be on the same side, between the shapes, right? So are the R's on the same side? Yes. Are the P's on the same side? Yes. Are the Q's on the same side? Yes. So this is a reflection. Alright? Now, a rotation could actually have something similar happen. But if you were to rotate something, what would happen is that P would come on this side and R would come on this side. Because it would kind of swing down. And when it swings down, right, the R and the P would change the location. Right? So if that was the case, then it would have been a rotation. Right? But it's a reflection because these two are in the same relative place, these two as well, and this one. Alright, so yeah, 53 is reflection. Hey, look at that 54. In which of the following polygons does the sum of the measures of the interior angles equal the sum of the exterior? Okay, the interior angles of a polygon, their sum increases. So, what's the sum of the interior angles of a triangle? 180. What's the sum of the interiors of a square? 360. And every time you go up, you add 180. How I remember it is, okay, to go from a triangle to a square, you have to add a side, right? Because it's from 3 sides to 4 sides. A side is a straight line. And what's the angle on a straight line? 180. So if you had 360 and you add a side, you add 180. Now that's just something I made up. I don't know how true it is if it has any math basis. But so the interior angles always increase, but the exterior angles don't change, which is kind of weird. If you think about how can the interior increase when the exterior is the same, right? But it does. That's just a mathematical property. The exterior angles always sum to 360. Always. So if the exterior angle is a 360 and it's saying here the sum of the interior is the same, it means the sum of the interior is 360 as well. And what type of shape has, in what type of shape is the sum of the interior angle 360? A quadrilateral. Quadrilateral shape, a square, a rectangle, parallelogram, rhombus, trapezium, etc. Right? So D, a quadrilateral. Alright, quad means four, lateral means side, so it's literally four sided. Alright, 55 gets own page boy. Item 55 refers to the following diagram, which shows the straight line y equal to minus x. What is the image of the line y equal to minus x when it's rotated anti-clockwise about O? So you're rotating it around this point in the middle here, through an angle of 90 degrees. Well, that's just going to give us, so basically what they gave us in the previous paper was the reverse to this, right? They gave us y equal to x, asked us the same thing, right? So yeah, so y equal to x. We know it couldn't be y equal to minus x because that's the same line, right? Y equal to 0 is the x-axis, and that's not, if you look about for the angle here, that's not 40, that's not 90 degrees. Y equal, x equal to 0 will be the y-axis, right? And if you're going anti-clockwise, that, oops, sorry. Yeah, you gotta go all the way here. That's more than 90. Okay, so that's 55. 56 now. Oh, we have an enlargement here. So the item 56 refers to the following diagram, which shows the translation. So they told us that it is a translation of triangle ABC to A prime, B prime, C prime. In the diagram above, the translation is mapped on by what vector? Alright, so to get the vector, we simply have to see the horizontal and vertical shift from one point to the respect. Okay, so let's go from A to A prime. So horizontally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and vertically 1, 2, 3. Horizontally, we went to the left, not so? Going left is negative movement. Going up is positive movement. So the vector here will be minus 5 on the horizontal and 3 on the vertical. And you can take any of the other pairs, any of the other points, right? To go from C, right, to C prime, check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, and 1, 2, 3 up. So go from B to B prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, and 1, 2, 3 up. So the same thing for all, and that's how it's supposed to be. Right, so minus 5, 3 is actually option A. Well, yeah. Alright, so minus 5, yes, so minus 3 is a shift down. Remember, it shifted from, again, I'll blame the print, right? So we have, so the triangle on the left was where we went. The triangle on the right where we started from. So ABC was the original triangle. This triangle here was the original triangle.
That was the original one.
Yeah, yeah.
That was.
But if that was the case, you should have put 5 and minus 3, which was C. If it is minus 5, you shift to the left. You call his name. Well, I'm trying to be, but I can't gang up on somebody all the time. Why? Item 57 refers to the following right angle triangle ABC. Alright, so what it's telling us here? Any triangle BAC is 30 degrees. ABS, now AB is opposite the right angle, which makes it which line? The hypotenuse. The length AC in means, so they want this length down here. Now relative to the angle, that side is opposite. And we're not looking for that side. This one is what? Adjacent. Now which ratio uses adjacent and hypotenuse? Cosine. Which of the options gives us cosine to work with? Option B.
But B has 60.
Oh. Oh.
That's what I was saying for that one. That one
Oh.
was I didn't
Right.
understand what I was supposed to do.
Bombastic side eye. I've been here killing from the leverage trading. That's what I think. With arbitrary and that kind of stuff. Ooh. Hey, that's a good pickup and Philly. Oh, very good. Alright, okay, so you have a point. So, okay, so if that angle down there is 30, what would be the angle up here? That'd be 60, right?
Wow.
And now relative to that angle, this side would be opposite. And now we could use sine, right? If you have opposite and hypotenuse, then use sine. Right, so sine 60 is equal to AC over 40. So you'll multiply by 40 on both sides to solve for AC. Yeah, yeah. That is correct. So 40 sine 6 is also 8. Wow, look at that. I get one wrong. Good job, Khalifa. But my sight for graphs is very similar. Okay. Right. Yes, if you talk to me, what vibes? Re-explain. Okay. So if you give me a second, I'm going to just do another 58 real quick, right? Okay. Because I watch him after finish at 2. And I have like less than 2 minutes to go. Alright? Okay. So we have this pink line here. Okay, no, right. So we have that line. We have that line OA A prime, and we have OB B prime, and OC C prime, are all straight lines, right? And ABC, which is the smaller triangle, is mapped onto the bigger triangle, right? An enlargement center O. What is the scale factor? Okay, so all we have to do is compare the lengths of corresponding sides. So for example, CB to C prime B prime. C prime B prime is 2 units compared to CB, which is 1. And then if you want to cross check, you can check A prime C prime to AC. So A prime C prime is 4 units and AC is just 2. Right, so yeah, that's okay. Right, so CPU, I'm going to see if I can do this real quick. Alright, so in the triangle, right, so relative to this angle here, this side is opposite. Now we're not looking for that side. Now this side is hypotenuse because it's opposite the right angle. Right? And then that means that this side down is adjacent relative to the 30-degree angle. So if you wanted to find the adjacent side, right, we use cosine because it's adjacent and hypotenuse. So cosine of 30 would be equal to AC, the adjacent over the hypotenuse. And then to solve for AC, we have to multiply by 40 on both sides. Now that 40 cos 30 is not an option, right? So what we then consider is, hey, let's take a look at another perspective, right? This angle on top here has to be 60, right? Because if this is already 90, you only have 90 degrees left. And if this is 30, 30 plus 60 is 90. Now relative to this angle, this side is opposite. And this side is adjacent. Right? Now the hypotenuse doesn't change. Now, if we're using 60, right? If we're looking for the opposite side and we have the hypotenuse, that's using sine. The sine of 60 degrees is equal to AC over 40. And if we define AC, we multiply 40 by sine of 60 degrees. Alright, so I hope that helps CPU. Alright, last two. Oh, some nice easy ones they give us here. So we know 59 already, right? A plane was flying in the direction of 45 degrees, 045 degrees, and changes course in a clockwise direction to 135. The angle through which the plane turns is. Right, so the plane was flying at an angle of 45 degrees. And then it changes to a clockwise direction of 135, right, which is exactly halfway between. So this first angle here was 45, the second angle was 135. The difference between the two would be the angle through which the plane turns, which is simply 90 degrees, right? Right, and if the angle P is formed by two equal sides, of an isosceles triangle where P is X, what is the size of angle Q and angle R? Okay. So we need a diagram. Not like that. Right. So this side and this side are equal, and the angle here is X. And these two angles are equal to each other because it's an isosceles triangle. So what's the sum of all the angles in a triangle? 180. So if we take 180 and subtract X, we find the sum of the other two. And because they are equal, we simply have to divide by 2 to find their magnitude. That's option. Alright. Alright, Liam and Marcus, just give me a quick genie chat if you guys good with the last 4 questions.
I'm slowly improving.
Well, that's good. By the time we hit Friday, you're ready for that? Alright.
Last time I get 2 and I'm not 42.
How's that big deal? So now you're about 75%? Yeah, 45 is 75%, so 44 is just about it. Alright. Okay. Alright, Liam and Marcus, that's it for today. Most likely we'll have a class 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. tomorrow if you look at a 10, whether in person or online. I will confirm that. I'll let you all know for sure, because it is dependent on either my mother-in-law watching my son, or helping my wife to watch my son, or my parents watching him while I work. Right? So, I'll let you know for sure. But that's the tentative plan. Anyhow, fellas, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye. Okay. Right, yeah. Hey Patrick, what's going on? Yes, if you, yeah, sure, no problem. Alright. Okay. Well, I feel like YouTube, I feel like nobody was on YouTube at all, boy. Nobody was there? 2 people? Oh, 12. Hey, YouTube, what's going on? Yeah. Happy holiday. Oh. Chef, are you the owner of Adapt Tuition? I am. Yeah, I am. I am him. Right, anyhow, yeah. Yeah, Kenny, thanks very much. Yeah, YouTube, I had to go there, guys. Right? I'll see you guys the next time. Tomorrow, hopefully, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. But I was running late, so.